Did the Eagles hint at something in their latest post? Find out what we mean, plus some roster moves made over the weekend, and we break down the first unofficial depth chart released by the team heading into this week's first preseason game. All that and more, so without wasting any more time, let's dive right into it. What's up, y'all, and welcome to Second and 15, a Philadelphia Eagles fan podcast powered by Olde City Sports Network, the best network for all your Philadelphia sports needs. This is your host, Michael Roscoe. We are just a couple days away from the Eagles' first preseason game against the Ravens playing this Saturday night, and a lot has led up to this moment, and we're going to break that down topic by topic. But first, are we going to see some white Kelly green jerseys this year? In a post on Eagles social media, it shows edge rusher Jalix Hunt and quarterback Reek Woolen playing a game of mystery match, I think it's called. You know, the type of shit where people try to match corresponding items without seeing the other side and they have to guess halfway through. Anyway, Hunt and Woolen were playing that against each other with helmets. They were matching the midnight green, Kelly green, and all black helmets. But then there was a fourth helmet, an all-white helmet with green wings, similar to what the team wore in the 1940s, including the 1948 and 49 back-to-back NFL championship years, as well as their throwback versions back in 94. Now, earlier in the year, Jalen Hurts mentioned how he wanted the team to don these white Kelly green jerseys. So could this be actually happening? Or did the social media team just need 4 helmets for this game, and that's what they picked, thinking nothing would come about it? I don't know for sure, but it's got people talking about it on social media. And hell, if they did bring them back, I got to imagine that would make a fuck ton of people happy, including this guy right here. But alas, it's one of those things where it's a we don't know until we see type of situation. Moving on, we got some roster updates. So the Eagles made a slew of roster moves, including bringing back a previous draft pick. After originally placing running back Elijah Mitchell on the injury reserve list, due to an undisclosed injury on Monday, the following day the team ended up releasing Mitchell in an injury settlement, ending his tenure in Philly. The Birds signed running back Jaquindon Jackson as his replacement, as well as defensive tackle David Blay and edge rusher Taron Jackson, who has been on and off the Birds since first being drafted in Philly in the 6th round of the 2021 draft. To make room for these players, the Birds waived guard Jaden Roberts and tight end Daquan Wright. While these are a lot of moves happening at once, they aren't, jaw-dropping or game-changing in any way, in my opinion, as it will likely be that we may see none of those players make the final roster. All right, next topic, Jalen Carter moves up in the NFL Top 100. After getting a massive payday, more respect flows in for the all-pro defensive tackle Jalen Carter as he lands at number 29 on this year's NFL Top 100, moving up 14 spots from the previous year, despite only playing 11 regular season games due to procedures on both shoulders and, of course, the season opener ejection. Players across the league still recognize Carter as one of the strongest and most disruptive defensive tackles in the league. Despite getting double team blocked at an astronomically high rate compared to the majority of DTs, he was still able to generate 12 QB hits, 7 pass deflections, and 3 sacks last season. His raw strength and explosive power make one-on-one matchups damn near impossible to win for his opponents, regularly instilling fear upon the interior linemen in front of him. So, congrats to Carter not only on the payday, but for his earned recognition as one of the best young players in the league. All right, y'all, main topic of this week's episode, the Eagles have released the first version of the depth chart. And I know this is technically an unofficial depth chart, but it provides a greater look at where each player from camp so far is as we head closer to the 53-man roster cut-down date, which is just under 3 weeks away. For certain groups like running backs, linebackers, edge rushers, the depth chart orders aren't a surprise to me. I know Jonathan Grenard's on the PUP list, so I know that as well. However, I am excited to see the depth chart for certain groups such as the wide receivers and the defensive backs, and I also have some curiosity with the quarterback depth group, so I'm going to start with them. Starting off with the QBs, No question who QB1 is, Jalen Hurts, of course, and no surprise who QB4 is with Cole Payton, who hasn't had the best camp so far. I know there was like a bit of hype for him at the very, very beginning, and then he just kind of seemed to progressively get slightly worse as camp has gone by, and he hasn't had a great camp the past few weeks or so. But now on to the QB2 and QB3 spots. Although I really should say QB2A and QB2B, since the depth chart lists Andy Dalton or Tanner McKee as quarterback 2. These two have been splitting reps all offseason long. There's been trade rumors about Tanner McKee, but there hasn't been anything concrete yet as it comes to having a QB2 and a QB3 and who they are. However, with Hurts likely sitting out during the preseason games, this will be the first chance in game scenario for Dalton and McKee to prove that they deserve the QB2 role. Dalton brings a decade and a half of NFL experience, but none with Philly. And what McKee lacks in experience, he makes up for with all of that experience being in Philly. Both have proven to be solid and reliable backup options when it comes to their respective careers when it matters the most. And I know Dalton has been a starter for some time, but there's a reason, y'all, he's been bouncing across the league as a veteran depth piece for a few years now. This Ravens game will give us a better insight on not only how well these two have learned the new offense under Sean Mannion, but how well they can execute their knowledge in these real game scenarios. And that's something I'm going to be paying an extra attention to on Saturday. Moving on to the wide receivers. As of right now, the depth chart lists the starting 3 wide receivers as Devontae Smith, Mekhi Lemon, and Dontavian Wicks, with Hollywood Brown, Darius Cooper, and Elijah Moore making up wide receivers 4 through 6 behind them. This group of 6 has made it extremely difficult for the coaches if they were thinking of only keeping 5 wide receivers and not using any of them solely for punt or kick returns, as these 6 have been doing exceptionally well in camp, even with ongoing injury issues, and Hollywood Brown's not been having a great past week or so. I think as a collective, they've all been doing really well. Then you got Johnny Wilson, Britton Covey, Quez Watkins, and Danny Gray behind them. However, Britton Covey is listed as the team's primary punt returner, listing Mekhi Lemon and Elijah Moore as other options. According to PredictThe53.com, NFL teams on average keep about 5 to 6 wide receivers, 3 to 4 running backs and fullbacks if they use fullbacks, and about 3 to 4 tight ends on an active 53-man roster, but of course this is going to vary from team to team. If we're looking at it from that perspective though, the first 6 wide receivers I mentioned plus Britton Covey all make it difficult to keep the max of 6 wide receivers on this team. Now, this could change, I think, with Hollywood Brown sliding a little bit, but I had this opinion beforehand. To me, I think it's going to boil down to Elijah Moore versus Britton Covey on which of those will be the last man in. And it's going to boil down to which of them is going to be the most efficient for the team, especially with the current injuries in the wide receiver room. They both will need to give it all they got in these upcoming games. Both have return special capabilities, but Moore, I think, is the better pure like wide receiver, you know? But we'll just have to see how this game and the rest of camp goes to see which one of these two will make the final cut. And finally, the DBs. I'm not surprised they have Q and Reek listed as starting corners with Cooper DeJean as the starting nickel. No surprise there at all. Behind Q and Reek on the outside are Jonathan Jones and Kelee Ringo. And I know there's a lot of opinions about Kelee Ringo, but that's for another time. What is interesting to see, though, is that not only is Cooper DeJean listed as the starting nickel, but he's also listed as one of the starting safeties, with Andrew Makuba taking the other spot. In the second string spot at nickel, it's listed as Michael Carter or Mac McWilliams, and at the safety behind DeJean, it's listed as Michael Carter or Marcus Epps. So the Birds got quite a bundle of options, but it doesn't seem that they're 100% solidified on how they want to approach this lone safety battle / now this nickel position. They seem to focus on these specific players and their level of versatility or lack thereof when it comes to the decisions they have so far versus just the position needs. There's been different talks about DeJean and the safety position, with some starting out that they're going to move him to safety, and now the majority of those talks are that he's going to play safety in base defense, which is only run like 20 to 25% of the time, then slides back at the nickel. However, it looks like they're going to take the one safety position and nickel positions and play around with a lot of them this year, unless there's some big last minute signing. And with this preseason game coming up, you're likely not going to see Q or Reek, but now with like this round robin between the nickel and the safeties, we could see a little bit of Cooper DeJean, maybe for like a little bit. But of course, we're going to see like Marcus Epps and Michael Carter, Mac McWilliams, and Andre Sam, and others into that mix. And I feel like based upon that game and the others behind them, we'll see how successful this like round robin or series of rotations is, if this is something Philly wants to move forward with for the regular season. All right, y'all, that is it for this week's episode. Thank you all for joining. Don't forget to like, subscribe, or follow on YouTube, X, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok by searching at Second and 15 or by the full name, Second and 15, a Philadelphia Eagles fan podcast. You can also find the audio for each and every single episode releasing Thursday mornings on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Player FM, or wherever you get your podcasts, with the video uploading to YouTube later that same day. Also, don't forget to check out the episode description for promo codes from our sponsors, such as SeatGeek, W Energy, and Warlord Beard Oil. Once again, thanks y'all for joining in. This is Second and 15, a Philadelphia Eagles fan podcast powered by Olde City Sports Network. Don't forget to check out the first preseason game for the Birds this Saturday night at 8 o'clock, I want to say. Coverage starts at 7 Eastern Standard Time. And on that note, we will see you all next week. Don't forget to stay fly like an eagle. And as always, go Birds!